you ever heard the story of the frog experiment? Well, as the story goes, if you put a frog in a pot and then add boiling water, he will immediately jump out. But if you place that same frog in a pot with cold water and then gradually heat the water up to boiling, the frog won't jump out and will inevitably be boiled alive. And the reason this occurs is because the temperature change is so gradual that the frog's body adapts to this new environment and he doesn't recognize that he's in danger until it's too late. Now, is this experiment true or even scientifically sound? I don't know. Apparently the story of this experiment originated with the 19th century scientists, and modern science says that the experiment is false. But regardless if it's false or not, I've got to tell you about another experiment that is just like the frog experiment, but it's 1,000 times worse. Now here's the deal. With the frog experiment, despite the science being a little bit faulty, the metaphor that it conveys is spot on because the frog will jump out of the way of danger immediately when he is abruptly exposed to danger. But when danger slowly creeps up on him, his response is much different. And instead of fleeing from the danger, he simply sits in the pot, allowing himself to be slowly destroyed. And if you think about it, we're no different than the frog. As a matter of fact, we are worse because God has blessed us with the gift of intelligence. But here's the deal. There's a mad scientist who studies us and wants us to boil in the pot of sin. But he knows that if he approaches us with the option to do something like overdose on drugs, indulge in risky sexual behaviors, misspend all of our money till we're in the poorhouse, cheat on our spouse, drink and drive, throw away our education because of partying, or to end up in prison due to some illegal activity we participated in, most people would run away from that option immediately. Like the frog, we jump out of the pot. But the mad scientist is cunning, so he'll never present that option to you just like that. Instead, he'll entice you with something that seems harmless at the time, something that he's just warmed up a little bit with the heat of sin. Something that's wrong, but in your mind it's not so wrong, so you indulge just a little bit and stay in the pot. And this process continues until the next thing you know, you are boiling in sin, wondering, how in the world did I get here? It happens all the time. I mean, I'm sure you've seen men and women stand before God and declare they will never cheat on their spouses. And they're sincere. But a little conversation, a little flirting, and the next thing you know, they're boiling in a pot of sin. You may have seen a young aspiring scholar with so much potential, and never in their wildest dreams could you or even they imagine that they'd be strung out on drugs. But a little recreational drugs here and there with friends, and the devil gets the pot cooking. Now, these examples might seem extreme to you because it's not your reality, and that's good. But what I need for you to do is take a hard look at your own life and determine if you are living up to all of the standards God has placed before you. And then make the determination if you are in the pot or if you're not. Now, if you discover that you are actually in the pot, don't freak out. Just do whatever you have to do to get out of the pot. And if getting out of the pot is challenging for you, don't worry, because I know someone who specializes in taking people like you and me out of the pot of sin and placing us in a place of safety. And if you haven't already guessed it, his name is Jesus. So call on him. Tell him about your situation. Tell him about where you are and what you're struggling with. And then ask him to remove you out of the pot of sin. And I'm a witness. He will do it. So, good people, what do you think about all this? Let us know your thoughts by commenting below. Also, if you haven't ordered my book, Trusting When It Doesn't Make Sense, what are you waiting for? Get your copy today by visiting the link below in the description section. And as always, continue to be extraordinary through Christ. And I'll see you next time.